Hi guys, welcome to Say That. We have a few things. We have a lovely guest here today. Her name is Desiree, who also goes by Queen of Avocados. So a little introduction and background on how I met Desiree and what she does for work. So I was 19 and I went to a little rave type EDM show and
Adventure Club, I think it was.
Yes, it was, and it was in Portland, Maine.
Some crazy white people shit.
Yeah. Yes, essentially.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Some crazy white
No,
people
she's
shit.
not. Yeah. So it was a really fun night. Obviously, like a lot of people are drinking and partying and having a good time.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm making out with this girl. It was a lot of fun. And my friends were like, that girl was all over you, yada, yada, yada. And then she tells me out of, like, nowhere, she was like, hey, you should look me up on Pornhub. And I was like, this girl's got to be shitting me. So,
You did your research.
I wasn't sure. She was legitimate. I had no idea who she was. I was like, I'm only 19. She's kind of scaring me a little bit. She's older than me too. And I'm like, she's offering to hang out. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm scared of everybody. So, I was like super nervous, but I also looked her up and I saw that she was really successful in sex work. And I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. So a couple years down the line, I get this project that I'm supposed to do for my portfolio as a senior in college. And I didn't want to play it safe. This is my chance to be able to talk about the stuff that nobody wants to and give a voice to the people that deserve it.
Say that.
So, yeah, absolutely. Say that. And now we have a podcast to be even more thorough with it.
I just noticed you have an avocado on your necklace.
This shit's a brand, man. I have avocado everything.
She literally does.
It's mental.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think you paying extra for avocado is justified? Like when you go to Chipotle and shit like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only so many avocados in the world, man. That shit is like, that's a primo. Yeah, you gotta pay extra for the guacamole. You gotta pay extra for the avocado.
Avocado toast?
Yeah, I bring that into my sex work too.
Yeah,
You pay
absolutely.
extra. I'm so cheap. I'm just kidding.
If you want the avocado special.
Oh my gosh. So that
I'm not even going to talk about what that entails. But
So this is what we will be talking about today. We will be talking about sex work in the industry, and we've seen sex work really start to blow up a little bit within the last year when COVID started, especially with OnlyFans, which is something a lot of people are pretty familiar with and started to get normalized in social media. So Desiree, where did this start for you?
So it actually started back in 2017 with my ex-husband, and we were at the time going to the gym. We were wicked fit. We were feeling good. We were feeling proud of ourselves, proud of our bodies. We were also, really close together. We were feeling sensual. So it started with us just taking photos of our sexual activity. And throughout high school, I was big on Tumblr. And that's where I would post that kind of dark side of my interests is Tumblr. So whenever we started taking photos, I would, here and there start uploading them to my Tumblr. And at that point, I didn't have tattoos. I wasn't as recognizable. It was a little easier to kind of be anonymous. And then from there, I met a lot of people that were doing the same thing, and I got a lot of questions like, are you selling it? Can I buy something?
like the content.
Yeah, are you selling the content, the photos that we were posting? Are you selling that? And it's like, no, we're just posting it for funsies. And this one woman, her name is Eve, and she's from the UK, and she's the first person that was like, well, you're missing out, so we're gonna work you into creating a premium Snapchat. And that's where it started. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term premium Snapchat, but it's basically
For those out there, I don't even have a Snapchat.
All right, Grandpa, let's catch you up real quick. So those of you
I know what Snapchat is.
Okay.
I know what Snapchat is.
Okay,
At first,
so
the whole concept of it sounded like a app for cheaters. That's what it sounded like to me. At first.
Yeah, send something and then just disappear.
That may be my opinion.
Yeah.
But please enlighten me on that premium Snapchat thing.
So premium Snapchat is basically you have to pay for a subscription to see certain photos or things that you post and videos.
It's like stories and...
Yeah, absolutely. Stories and things like that. So it's like you have to pay for the access to what they're posting. It's not a free gateway like a lot of Snapchat users have. And the premium just gave them a space to kind of intake money, and it's a platform to have business. And
so it's like a
business.
follow request on Instagram, but the follow request comes in the form of a payment.
Yeah, kind of. So basically, people, have a one-on-one conversation in my direct messages saying like, "Hey, you got a premium Snapchat?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So there are two ways of running it. You can either do like a lifetime access, like a one-time fee. Pay me, and I'll give you my username, and you can add me. You can be my friend on Snapchat because you have to look me up. You can't just like see me as like a recommendation, kind of like you can do like
on the
quick
explore
ad.
page or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like my username is very random. Like it's not easy to find. So they give me payment. I add them to my Snapchat, and they can see my story because my story is where I post all the goodies. Or you could do like some workers do like a monthly subscription where every month they pay a fee, and at the end of the month they check in with these users and say, "Do you want to renew? You need to pay. Otherwise, I'm going to delete you off of this Snapchat. I'm going to block you. You can no longer see my story." That's too much work for me. So it's a lifetime access. Pay me one time. You're in for good. And I've had it running for 4 years now. So that's kind of where it started with kind of getting money to post nudes and, videos of me doing whatever.
Okay. I think that it's super interesting to me to hear that. And I applaud, any type of hustle, any type of entrepreneurship. But maybe for somebody like myself as well, or listeners out there, I feel like the term sex worker is very vague, like for the interpretation, it can go in many different directions.
Yeah.
Do you mind clarifying?
Yeah, I mean, my sex worker is like an online content creator, and I'm a fetish recreator, if you will. So when someone has a certain fetish that they can't really go onto Pornhub and say, like, I want to see, X, Y, and Z, they can't really find that specific type of video, so they kind of come to me. They
Tailor-made.
Exactly. Customs are my favorite part of this job. Like, I love being able to do a custom for someone, recreate their specific fantasy, do what I can to kind of reenact it and give it to them. I love that.
And speaking of fantasy, how
That's fire.
how do you think? What is your way of protecting yourself when someone who is a client of yours cannot separate the fantasy from reality?
I've had to, kind of let people know that I am a fantasy. Like, I've literally had to have conversations with people that they get a little too attached, and they start kind of, I have clients that drop L-bombs, like, "I love you," and it's like, you lust me. You lust over me. You don't love me. So there have been conversations that I've had to have with some clients. Yeah, like what I give to you this is my job, and I'm performing for you. I am not Desiree when I'm giving you things. These people don't even know my name. Some people do, but I'm the queen of avocados. I'm a fantasy. I'm a role, and I am here to give you something. I'm here to serve you and provide you a service, but that's it. We're not there. There's not anything further than that. But I will say that, and also say that I do have some clients that I've become really close to. Clients that are return customers mostly, because the more money you give me, the more I'm going to give you attention, the more we're going to talk, and the more we're going to learn.
You got to treat different people differently.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, but that's how it is.
Yep. No, you definitely have to. So, for those people, the ones that kind of pay me more and continue to pay for my services, we get a little closer. But for those that, just buy a video here and there, we're on a professional level, where you do the interaction, you tell me what you want, you pay me, I give it to you, we're done. That's it. And then if you want more, you can come back and we can, repeat.
So just to shout out to Repeat, he's not here right now, but he's here in spirit, one of our co-hosts. Love it. But just to clarify for myself as well, so there's a one-time payment to have access to what you post, like publicly, and by publicly I mean to those that are part of that community. But there's an add-on when you want something tailor-made for you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So and the one-time payment is for a Snapchat. I do OnlyFans as well, and Fansly, which is like a newer website where it's
new OnlyFans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
and I think we should talk about the platforms, the social media platforms specifically, and what that experience is like for you. I know it's a struggle for a lot of sex workers.
It's very much a struggle.
Recently, your account just got deleted. 2 of your biggest accounts just got deleted again for the 18th time.
18th time. I am on account 19 and 20 right now. Yes,
Why does that happen?
Because sex workers are heavily censored. Because back in, I believe, 2018, there was a bill passed, the Sesta Fosta, and it was to, the whole, big thing is about stopping human trafficking. But they use that to kind of cover an entire group of anything sexual, whether it's consensual or not, because they want to stop the human trafficking, but they don't realize that the amount of sex workers in this business are doing it consensually. They're not doing it because they're being trafficked by someone else. They're part of it because they either need the money or they want the money. They want to do this full time. They need to do this full time, but it's not sex trafficking. We aren't the ones that are consensual are not being very generalized. And so like anything, on Instagram, some people you show a little bit extra cleavage, boom, deleted. And you have that, but you also have like the more audience you have, the more trolls you're going to encounter. Mm-hmm. So
it comes with the territory.
Absolutely. So not only are we being, censored on what we can post because, our bodies are apparently supposed to be censored and we can't show off our bodies, the way that we want to. We're also faced with a lot of hate and a lot of rude people that literally just wake up to hurt people. Like they wake up and they're like, today I am going to try to get someone deleted. Like I'm going to hurt somebody.
I'm sure that their life is awesome.
Very full of, great things.
Yeah,
but it's really you're faced with a lot of mean people and, getting a lot of mean people to mass report you. I have a website. My website is queenofavocados.com. And I once hosted it on Linktree, which you may have heard before.
Yes. We use Linktree.
So I had a Linktree, and it was, Linktree at whatever. And I was, I had that link in my bio everywhere, and that would be the link that I would recommend to people if they wanted to see my stuff. And I got mass reported so many times that I cannot send my Linktree URL on Instagram or Facebook.
And it instantly gets taken down when you post it.
Yeah, it doesn't even, it does not even let me send it in Messenger, like Facebook Messenger, because it says this link is not allowed for bullying. Like so many people had reported a message my link that I cannot send my URL, my Linktree URL on anything owned by Facebook or Instagram.
Okay, I got a question. I got a question about this, right? So it has happened 18 times.
My Instagram has been taken down 18 times, yeah. I'm on 19 and 20 right now.
Obviously, there has to be some sort of pattern. Can you see it coming? Is there something that you can do to, like, somewhat prevent it?
Well,
or is it troll-based? It's not Instagram necessarily doing it, it's the community of trolls telling Instagram this is not good. Is that what's happening?
Honestly, I wish I knew. I know that, you get warnings. You're not, if you post a risque photo that Instagram just does not like, oftentimes it'll just get deleted. The post itself gets deleted, and it'll tell you, it'll pop up. Before you can do anything else on the app, it pops up and says, this photo was deleted for this reason. So do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to appeal this? Sometimes you can appeal it, and sometimes, some sort of moderator will be like, oh, yeah, that was, that's acceptable, and they'll, give it back to you. And after these reports kind of line up and pile up, the more
they got a case against you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it becomes like more unpredictable the more I think that starts to happen is it starts to become more like predictable or unpredictable. There was one time she was on live and I joined her. It was a live on TikTok that she did, and she was painting her toenails. She was painting her toenails, and instantly her entire account got taken down. She was torn off live, and she had to go and try to appeal her account. Mm-hmm. And she was painting her toenails, and she was completely completely covered, just like in her bathrobe. Like it was Sunday morning.
Now
It was very interesting. Yeah.
Now, so this is what I can say, right? I think, at least. So if you have, and I'm not trying to compare it with this at all, but I'm just using it as an example in a different, world. If you have a criminal record, police are going to keep an eye on you, even if you're just chilling. Even if you're not doing nothing, they just got an eye out for you. If anything bad happens, you're going to be one of the first people they circle around to come see.
Right.
Or not even that context. You was the bad kid in class. Let's do that. Let's use that example. You're the bad kid in class.
You went to the principal's office once.
Yeah, or maybe more than once, for example. Now when anything happens, they're going to automatically say, hey, Mike, what happened? Even though I may have been absent that day. Do you think that's maybe like something that's going on? Or
Yeah, so because my brand is pretty specific, it's probably really easy for the moderators of Instagram or Facebook or TikTok to be like, wait a second, like they're probably looking out for keywords and they're filtering out the keywords, and everything I have is avocado. Like that is my thing, that's my brand.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely think that it could be easily like triggered to them. Like the moment that I create a new account that's some sort of name aligned with my brand. It started out with Queen of Avocados, and then it was, Queen of Avocados with a O or a 0 on the O for of, and adding periods between the avocado queen with periods, like doing whatever I can to kind of
I
make
did it that way.
But like because I need to do that for my fans to find me, but. Again, because I'm adding these keywords, it's really easy for, the moderators to be like, oh, that avocado person, The same thing with IPs. I mean, using a VPN is going to save your butt a little bit too, because they can track your IP. You can be IP blocked on some applications because they're like, we can tell that it's the same person. It's the same IP address on the same device, making just different accounts. Like it's the same person, just with a different mask on.
And you're fine. You're fine, and we won't block you out for that. I promise.
Thank you. I'll try not to do it again.
You're fine,
Mike.
But name some of the platforms that have taken down the accounts for you.
I've been removed off of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Those are like the 4 main platforms that I use. All 4 of them I've had accounts taken down on.
And those like from my understanding are like the
They're the most popular.
That's where the people are.
Yeah.
And Twitter's the only one that's held me.
Yeah, and
Love you,
let's
Twitter.
talk about that.
Twitter doesn't take down anything?
Twitter doesn't give a shit. It doesn't give a shit. So it gives a shit to an extent.
It kind of does.
But it's interesting to see that Twitter is still the only platform that is allowing even the more vulnerable and the more explicit content that she posts, and that a lot of other sex workers post to promote their business, and like, this is what I can do for you, this is what I can create for you, like she mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only platform that has held that up. But then again, I don't have an experience with having an account like that for a various amount of time, so I don't know. I can't say from my perspective of there has been issues, but
it's definitely not as bad.
Yeah.
So a lot of the issues that I've seen, like my friends getting deleted, are their profile, like the public part of it, like their cover photo, their avatar, their description on their bio. Has really like inappropriate things. Like you can't be nude on your Twitter, cover photo. You can't have like spread vagina. You know what I mean? You can have a cute little booty shot, but like have underwear on. Like, you know what I mean? You can't have full tits out on that cover stuff. But like, yeah, the things you post aren't too bad. But I think that they are also, putting in little things here and there to kind of trap sex workers and to kind of exploit them. For example, there is a new tip. Like a new tipping part on Twitter, like that creators can allow users to tip them.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's weird.
But it's like a trap for sex workers, because like if they're giving you money for whatever, they're gonna find that your account is a sex worker based account and delete you. Like I've had people deleted after just getting tips on Twitter, like for being.
It is a trap.
It
is
like
a trap.
They put these things out there so that it's like they can find them a little easier. But then again, like you can post a lot. You can post just about whatever you want, as long as it's like consensual and it's not like
it's not like
extreme content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As long as it's like
And for a while there,
stuff.
And for a while there, for OnlyFans, this was, I think, probably about those same standards. Maybe not. But so in October, so the first day of October, OnlyFans announced that they were going to be banning sexually explicit content, and the world kind of blew up. Because when COVID first started, that's when OnlyFans blew up, because more people were turning to this to pay their bills, to pay whatever they needed, work from home, exactly. And there's even been trends that are being put out there, like on platforms like TikTok, where they're starting to be like, oh, I got an OnlyFans and I made $1,000 in however many span of time. And it's like, no, that's bullshit. Like, unless you have the platforms and the following, and this is like what you've been doing for a long time, you might reach that amount, but only maybe like by the end of the month. It's like those expectations are not realistic for the reality of it.
Absolutely.
And it's really not, and that makes the sex workers who have been doing this for a long time, it makes them look a certain way. And it's like, not everyone can make just like this amount of money because you're selling porn. It's not that simple. It's not that easy. So let's talk a little bit about that with OnlyFans and the expectations and what the actual rules are, because nobody did their research.
So to start off with, like, the whole thing in October, so basically there was a discrimination against the credit card companies refusing to be able to work like as a banking system for a company that was going to allow this type of content. They were able to apparently work themselves around it, but, you know, within that, there was like a 72-hour period where OnlyFans had sent out a new acceptable terms policy where, you know, they drew out what was no longer going to be accepted. And things like this were, you know, showing anything of your spread butt or your asshole. Like, you couldn't show off your asshole. No anal penetration. No like actual vaginal penetration.
These were very specific rules.
They were very specific, and like that's like no anal, no booty shots, no no sex. Like
literally, it was no sexual intercourse. It was literally like no sexual intercourse between two partners or two people.
It was very clear. Like
that ain't for the culture.
No. That's what 90% of my content is. What am I going to do now?
It's like, okay, well, what is sex? Yeah. We are the Virgin Mary. That is sex.
Yeah,
got it.
Photos of my shoulder for you and my armpit, which I have done,
and
or the back of my knee.
Yeah, and the collarbones.
Are you into ears?
Yeah.
I literally had a customer, though, who came at me multiple times a day for about like 3 weeks straight that wanted photos of the back of my knee. Didn't want anything else. They had to be like singular. I had to like pop out my veins as much as I could.
Together, Mike.
Yeah. Like literally photos of my knee. And what I would do at like my photo, I would charge, $10 for 5 photos. And I would give him, the 5 photos, and then he'd be like, "Wait a second, can you give me one more single of the left one? Like the left one, like I don't have a good photo of it, so I have to go in like the left one. Well, it actually looks like my right because things are reversed." And I'm like,
"So let's talk about some of the requests you receive from people. That your experiences with the clients that you have. Let's talk a little bit about this."
I've done some weird things. One of my most profitable transactions was I sold a jar of spit for $700.
Now, when they asked you for this jar of saliva.
Mind you, I know this person. This isn't a random stranger off the internet. This is someone that I've known since I was a freshman in high school.
Is it that one?
It was an ex-boyfriend's friend of mine, yeah.
Oh, it's...
ex-boyfriend's friend. I will not say names. I will never say names.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But yeah, so, many years later.
Did he ask you in fluid ounces, or?
No, he was just like, no, so this wasn't our first transaction, though. We'd had done, like, used panties and stuff like that, where, I would, wear an outfit, make a video, masturbating, whatever. And so this individual happened to be married. And she would check his bank statement. So we only could pay in cash. So either I was paid through an Amazon gift card, or he would come to my living quarters after he got out of work, and I would put the product in my car. And he would take the product and put the money in my glove box. and that would be our transaction. So, you know,
Straight narco shit.
fast forward
That's
to a couple
gangster
months
shit.
later, and he was like, you know, can I get a jar of spit? And I'm like, well, like, the only jars I have are like weed jars. So like I've got nothing I can put my spit in. He's like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to leave a jar for you to fill in your truck. And if you could just, you know, do what you can, fill it, and, you know, give it back to me.
But this is a hustle, just like any other business.
Absolutely.
I
Like,
can't knock it. I cannot knock it. I'm actually.
Isn't it
thoroughly
interesting?
impressed.
He's over here
No,
thinking,
I
like,
was-
how much spit do I need to save up?
Oh my god.
I'm over here thinking, like, how can I benefit from this?
And here's the
I
thing
might have to
too.
hit the gym or something.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
No,
So
it's
back to the
interesting.
spit.
So the thing about spit is that it's a natural, it's a organic material. So bacteria will come into play, and mold does happen. And so I received the jar.
That was on camera too.
So fun, dude.
So hear me. So he gives me the jar, but he doesn't give me the money for the jar.
Okay.
He gives me the jar, and I am like, okay, so I'm gonna fill it, and then we're gonna make the exchange.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So unfortunately, he was going through some things. So I told him, I was like, I need you to come back within like the next like 3 days to pick this up. Like I'm gonna make as much as I can in 3 days, and then I need you to pick it up because it's going to start molding if you don't. Which I had to do 2 takes because this guy had to like rain check, and I have this jar of spit here, and just like starting to like, just starting to mutate in this jar. So I'm just like,
It's starting to have a pulse.
exactly. It's growing ears. It's gross.
It has a jawline.
So I'm like, I'm cleaning out the jar, and I'm like, okay, listen to me. Tell me when you can actually be here, and I will, you know, create this jar for you. And so I did. And now, mind you, I did do this twice for this individual. The first time, the first time to gain the spit, I did a video where I was blowing a dildo, because you know when you give oral, you know, it starts. So I was just blowing a dildo, and every time I got enough slobber, I would like spit it into this jar on camera, like while looking at the camera, just and continuing to go, and for like 12 minutes until the jar was probably like a third of the way there, and I was like, all right, we're good to go.
Yeah. If you need more than this.
You know, because, you know, he's using it to jack off. Like, he told me, he was like, I'm going to use it to jack off to you. And I'm like,
And how does it make you
Okay.
feel when they like tell you that? Like, how do you handle some of these men's reactions, or women even?
honestly, like, I'm very smitten on it. I think it's like it's a whole flattery thing for me, like, to know that I am helping this person reach climax, you know, whether I'm physically there or just, you know, they're mentally thinking about me, or they're, you know, using, you know, they're touching something of mine that I've sold to them, like socks or underwear. I've sold leggings. I've sold
You sold
shirts.
socks?
Oh, God, yeah. There was one individual, and he had ordered for me 3 times, and he lived in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So this was before OnlyFans.
Shukran.
So he was from Saudi Arabia, and he was never like, I want 1 pair. He was like, I want like 3 pairs of underwear. I want 3 pairs of leggings. I want a body 1 suit. I want a pair of socks, and I want 1 toy. And like, it costs a lot of money to ship that to Saudi Arabia, like, not gonna lie. Plus, like, videos of me wearing all of these things. So I think each round was around $300. Each package was about $300 to this individual.
And that is cost for you to ship.
Well, it was $50 to ship, so it was
Okay.
a $250 profit.
Oh, that's not bad.
And I was getting rid of clothes that I don't wear anymore. So, because he was like, you know, I want 3 pairs of leggings, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go through my drawer and find leggings that have holes in them, have paint stains. You know what I mean? The more used, the better, right?
So I'm sure that sometimes you get the internal question where you want to ask why a lot, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe
where
you're just
where it comes from. I think there's a good story for the psychological aspect of these types of things and kinks and things like that. So the first interview that I did with Desiree is she brought up gummy bears or something like that. And I know. And I was like, What?
Gummy bears are good.
Until you
Diet gummy bears give you stomach problems.
Really?
I'm sorry, not diet.
Sugar-free.
Sugar-free gummy bears apparently have some sort of ingredient in them that is just like going to cause
It's like a natural
indigestion.
laxative.
Yeah. And I have a client who he would want me to do weird things by like stepping on things with my big boots that Mags was mentioning earlier. So I have these pair of leather boots that literally go all the way
they go up
to my
past
leg.
my, yeah.
I'm
they go-
5'7", and they go all the way up to my hip bone.
And I'm 4'11", so you can imagine where those boots are on me. They are past my hip, maybe up to my wrist.
That's a sleeping bag for you.
yeah,
Yeah, basically, I will be a caterpillar for a day.
they're massive. And this individual, starting last Christmas when I wore them one time, was like, can you record a video of you just like walking back and forth? I was like, yeah. And then it started, went to like, can you just like make a video in those boots, but like stepping on some Ritz crackers? I'm like, sure. Next was peanut butter. And mind you, these are stilettos. These are like 6-inch stilettos. Plus they're all the way like up my leg. Like they're very massive boots. I become very tall. So I stepped in, peanut butter, trying not to fall on my ass. Like, this is very dangerous. I'm home alone. I'm walking in stilettos, trying to step in peanut butter. So then I give him that video, and he's like, can you do one more for me? But at the end of the video, can you pretend like you're stuck in the peanut butter? I'm like, okay. And he was like, so you're stuck, and you have an upset stomach, and, like, you're scared that you're not going to make it to the bathroom. So can you just, like, reenact that for me? Sure.
Interesting.
Okay. So I did, this reenactment, I was like standing in a peanut butter and like, oh no, I'm stuck. Oh no, my belly hurts. I think it's the Chinese I ate earlier. I don't know if I'm going to make it to the bathroom. and that would end it. And he only saw that video. And that, went to sugar-free gummy bears. He was like, can you get some sugar-free gummy bears so that you can eat them and then record a video of you in the bathroom going to the bathroom? Yeah. And I was like, well, I will never show a video of me, pooping. Like, scat is a hard no. I will not do it. That's bathroom shit. I'm not going to touch it. Like, no. And he was like, no, you don't have to. So what I want is, like, you to put the camera, on the ground, on the floor, so that it just shows your ankles. When you're you're
gonna give Mike a heart attack. He's gonna laugh so much.
Have you seen White Chicks? When
Yes,
they go
of
into the
course.
bathroom with like the lactose intolerance, and they're just like
Yes.
in the he wanted me to reenact that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is funny.
No, I did not do that. Did I do other videos where I was stuck in substance? Absolutely. He paid well.
Fuck it.
Yes.
Does anyone else see those videos? No.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing about it. It's like you're able to make customs for people that is their eyes only. And I mean, you're your own boss. Mm-hmm. So they're looking to you for a service that you're able to provide, and you have menus and things like that, just like any other business owner would have, right?
Yep.
And you're like, these are the
Price
services
charts,
I
price ratings
provide.
and stuff.
Right. And I've seen Desiree also get a lot of shit from people that are different clients who are like, oh, like, this isn't worth my time, this isn't worth my money, or whatever else, and you just tell them straight up, okay, well, then go find another service that does what you are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, question, so by the sounds of it right now, it sounds like that the services that you provide either come in the form of a jar, or
Damn it.
or they come.
We are very 420 friendly in this room, by the way.
They come in the form of a jar, or they come in the form of a virtual content.
Yeah, it's like a virtual package.
Does it end there?
I don't do any in-person. No, I don't do any in-person services whatsoever. The only thing I do in person is collaborating with other models in the business.
And how is that for you? What has that been
Fucking
like?
incredible.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. What it is like to collaborate, and what it is like to like. This is a very competitive industry, and how do you handle, you know, the collaboration of it rather than the competitive aspect of it, you know?
Yeah, so my whole thing about sex work is that we're a community, and we are a bunch of people that are facing a lot of scrutiny from the outsiders, you know, the normies, if you will. And we have to stick together. And I am very much a communal type of person where I want to see people succeed, and I will do whatever I can to help a person succeed. But there, you know, there's always the people out there that are like, this is a competition, and I, you know, have my brand, and I don't want anyone else to steal my clients, and I don't want them to, you know, steal the money that I will potentially make. But when you think of sex work and you think of kink and you think of, you know, what people are interested in, it's not the same. You know, people are interested in so many different things and shapes and sizes and, you know, what they perform. And I think that as a community, we have so many diverse people, which is beautiful because there's someone for everyone. You know, and every worker has the potential of having clients that are into what they have to provide. And if we work together, we can use that to our power versus trying to monopolize, monopolize yourself and not help others.
You know,
I don't like that.
I think one thought comes to mind in terms of the competition, and secondly, the way that it's marketed, right? So, first and foremost, I think that sometimes when an offering is very unique as this, or very specific on what it is that you do, adding a name like sex work is very vague and can confuse a lot of people. And I think, I don't know, maybe how unspecific like the naming of it is can create some of the the people, the opposing.
And there's a lot of stigma surrounding sex work as a whole. And of course you have a lot of people, when you hear sex work, you think, oh, prostitution of the streets.
Yeah.
And they're starting to become more legalized in certain areas.
Yeah.
In this country, at least. I don't know about around the rest of the world. I mean, you're in the industry, so you probably know more about that.
I wish I knew more, about outside of the country. But yeah, there are some places that do have legalized prostitution or in-person sex work. And to be someone that does in-person services takes a very strong, hardworking individual, especially for the fact that the amount of procedures that are put onto this person that they're expected to do to maintain their ability to be an in-person
and
service
to be
workers.
safe.
You have to be licensed. You have to have that license renewed every year. You have to be STD tested, very, very regularly, which is something we already do.
So the legal aspect of it is, very taxing as well. But I think that we're overlooking the physical
and mental capacity it takes to be.
Yeah.
I think
time.
A lot of people are like, oh, sex work. Oh, you're a porn star. Oh, all you do is record yourself when you have sex. And it's like, no. I think recording myself orgasming is maybe 25% of my job. I am also the HR department. I am the tax, I'm the accountant of my job. I am the marketing director, if you will, of my job. I'm the one who markets myself. I'm the one who markets my product. I'm the one who manages all of my social medias. I also do all of the editing of the content that I do create. So, any videos that have multiple angles on multiple devices,
you have to put those together and you have to stitch them.
You have to think, I do all of the lighting. I do all of the directing of a scene from, the beginning to the end of the scene. There's so much work that goes into creating a scene that people are just
and these are skills that people like you and I go to school for, and we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars going to school for, and she's able to put this together by just the fact that she needs these skills and needs to figure it out and needs to learn them.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest catalyst of creativity is necessity.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and that's all this is. This is also just another creative outlet. I mean, you're using all the tools and skills that you need to make it successful, and this has been an industry that's been successful since for centuries.
It's the oldest profession.
Absolutely. Sex is the most natural human thing that there is.
But I feel like there's a differentiator as well. You know what I mean? Because I think that the terminology, a lot of people might think that you are the in-person type.
Yeah.
Just because of the title.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong, but I think that there needs to be like a key differentiator. And I don't know if it's already applied. I'm not a consumer.
Right. So you think
this is from the outside.
Well, think of the term doctor. How many different types of doctors are there? You know what I mean? There are, doctors that are professional, or like there's cardiologists, and then there's, surgeons.
Or gynecologists.
Yeah, or gynecologists, but they're a doctor. And I'm, a sex worker, but then you have, content creators, or, you have cam girls.
Mm-hmm.
You have
dominatrix.
People that work in the BDSM community. You have the in-person services. You have, like, strippers. That's all sex work. It's work that revolves around sex. But yes, like sex work is like a doctor, and then with under that,
it has like your little subheadings of a very like you have a heading and then you have the subheading, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you have all these little branched out categories that each person does. It's like, oh, I want to go to a strip club and party with whoever, right? And it's like that's just one service of so many other things, and sex sells. Sex has been selling forever.
Always has.
And especially in LA, or even musicians have to sell sex. They have to show them. They have to be vulnerable on
Especially
stage. They
females.
have to, yes, and they have to entertain. If they don't look a certain way, they're not a certain body type. They're not a certain weight. Screw you. Like immediately. Like there's so you see so many people women especially in the entertainment industry who end up with eating disorders, who end up with very poor mental health issues because that doesn't matter. There was even a musician who had a miscarriage while she was performing because they said, no, it's your career or you have this miscarriage and you're done. Mm-hmm. So she was performing with a miscarriage. Mm-hmm. The entertainment industry is brutal. Mm-hmm. It's not for the weak. Like, people think, like, oh, I want to be that. Like, I wish I could be that. I wish I could be there. And it's like, there's so much more applied to this. It's so much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the ideas that, as entrepreneurs, whatever it is that we're doing, and a mistake, I think, in a way, is thinking that we can change the market. Unfortunately, like, the best we can do is adapt to the market or cater to the market. I feel like the example you gave with doctors, it's applicable, but there's not a negative connotation with doctors. Unless it's like, for some people, depending on what your cultural background is, like, they think that, plastic surgery is bad.
Right.
That you should love how you were,
God gave you this, or there's a culture behind it.
I think a lot of the stigma is religion based. Because a lot of the religions say that you can't do a certain thing. You can't have sex before marriage. You can't, have sex with the same gender. Like, you can't, there are, some religions that, like, you can't even show your body.
Bad.
Masturbation's bad. Like, can you imagine?
It sounds good on paper.
We have a lot of pissed off people in this world.
No wonder they're so tense. They need to let go some steam.
Okay, so when I wrote this article, for my professor, I was like, I know a sex worker. This would be cool, right? And I literally presented myself. Okay, I'm a journalist. I know this person. I'm going to talk to her, and I'm going to ask her about this industry and what her work is like. I have no idea. I mean, this would be cool to learn. So I was presenting this to my professor, Professor Peggy, and Peggy goes, I don't agree with that. The lifestyle, the work, I don't agree with it. But because you're approaching this as a journalist and you're approaching this, like, I know this person, she does this work, this would be cool to talk about. And looking at it from a journalistic perspective, she allowed me to do it. And I got the permission. But she was amazed at her studio. She was amazed at what she was able to create, the type of work that she was able to professionally present. And she grew up Catholic. My professor grew up Catholic. She told me that. She's like, I don't agree with it. I grew up Catholic. She's very old school.
So is my mother.
And personally, I grew up like that too. My grandparents, super, super Catholic, super conservative. And sex was never talked about, but they also, that's their generation. They weren't educated like she is. She wasn't, they weren't allowed like this. And that's the biggest problem, I think, is that people are very uneducated on how sex works and what you need to do to be safe. Because even in schools, when I grew up in North Carolina, it was woman, and man. Mm-hmm. Where's the LGBT community? Where's the LGBTQ community? Where's that? Mm-hmm. What do we do? You know what I mean? So it's like. And people who are in the LGBTQ community are more prone to STDs or unsafety regulations because they're not educated properly how to be safe. They're not. So it's
But,
like, so
I got a
people are
question on
led
that.
to doing their own research.
I got a question on that. Isn't the same? Aren't the laws of being safe universal though?
Kinda.
I feel like we don't like. Listen, I'm not here to say like there's no special treatment. I'm just saying like the way that we cater safe sex doesn't need to be modified based on your sexuality.
No, but you're not
think-
even taught it like whatsoever. A
Yeah,
lot of
that's
it
the
is taught
point.
abstinence.
Yeah.
Words are hard. But like when you think of curriculum in the United States, I mean, it's all very. It's all the same, and it's all based on opinion and what is.
And this is in the system. This is a school system. This has been going on for years.
And
This
it's
is
all
repetitive.
It brings you down again to religion. And
Absolutely.
So they're not
Yeah.
they're gonna teach you abstinence. They're not gonna teach you
It doesn't
how
matter.
to be
because
safe.
they're like, okay, well, if you don't do
Abstinence.
it, then we don't have to explain ourselves further.
word.
You know what I mean? It's like, if we don't do it, then we don't have to prepare you for the consequences that come with it. It's like, it's
Yeah.
almost like a lack of self-accountability. In a way, it's like not teaching these kids to be accountable too, because it's like, okay, well, if this happens, here's what you have to do to deal with it, or here's where you go to deal with it, or whatever else. It's like there's really no guide to this, and then when people end up doing their own research, you get what Desiree is able to create, and it's like, do you think Pornhub would even be an educational platform? Exactly, like people are looking to porn, and that's what they think sex is. You think
It's not realistic at all. I mean, oh my gosh, the amount of times that like one 15-minute scene takes like 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, that's not real sex. That's sex that's put into a performance.
Of course.
You know, and sold because that's what makes money. But like, no, it's absolutely not legitimate.
It's like for example, you can watch a million basketball movies, right? The drama that is in that one particular game or the team deals with. I'm not saying it's not similar to what happens in real life, but you can't replicate that type of drama, the stakes, everything. So yeah, it's definitely a performance, and people need to understand it and view it from that perspective. But-
Yeah. And what do you think makes people go to you and say, like, I don't know this person, but what do you think draws them to, maybe not you specifically, but in general, to a intentional sex worker who goes to them and is like, I don't know this person, but it's worth my time and money for what I'm going to be seeing?
I think it's the way that person just presents themselves and how they hold themselves to kind of create a safe space for these individuals that have these kind of more proprietary interests and kinks and stuff like that. Someone like that definitely isn't going to normally feel safe telling, we'll bring it back to a gummy bear guy. Like, he probably doesn't feel particularly safe telling these secrets to people. Like, he didn't tell me that he was into that until, we had already done like 5 custom videos. You kind of have to work up to building the courage to talking about something that's a bit more secretive like that. Mm-hmm. And they only, I think that he was able to let his wall down and ask me for these things because I've created a safe environment for him. I didn't judge him. I, made it an open conversation for him to say, this is what I'm into. And whether or not I'm into it personally, I still respect him and I don't kink shame. And, if you're into that and that's what is bringing you joy, then more power to you. I'm not into it. I'll recreate it for you. But just creating a safe space for them where they can just feel comfortable. It does take time. And
Absolutely.
I don't think that, there might be definitely some people out there that have crazy kinks that will just go to a random person and, say, like, I want this recreated. But a lot of the times it's like, let's create a video that's a little more generalized and, create that relationship. And then we can kind of go a little further and kind of do stuff that's a little naughtier and dirtier and kinkier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Takes time. It definitely does.
Why do you think that these men, or not men, sorry, that was very generalistic, but that community or that clientele, why do you think that they feel this way, that they can't express these kind of things?
Just for the same reason we're not even allowed to talk about sex, so sex is not a normalized conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think sex isn't a normalized conversation, and when you do have the conversation, it's men and women, doing missionary, and that's that's what they think sex is. You know what I mean? But sex is so much more than that. I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's like what Mike said. It's like what why isn't it such a normalized thing for people to feel comfortable? You know, it's like, and they have to go to these little certain pocket holes that allow them that space. And what I thought was very interesting to hear from you when I first interviewed you was how you were able to give them a safe space and make them allow them to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like surpass that idea. They're like, oh, you need to be vulnerable for that? You know, it's like people wouldn't think that way.
You need to be vulnerable for what? I'm sorry.
For whatever they want to express, because I mean, sex is a form of expression. It's a form of creativity.
I think it takes vulnerability to do
to any expression or any
anything,
creative.
Anything.
Yeah.
If you want to stand on the corner with a megaphone and read a script off the Bible, it takes vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this takes a higher level of vulnerability because one, you're exposing yourself internally, spiritually as well. And that kind of leads me to ask you, what kind of rituals are in place for you to, like, I don't want to say desensitize, but like cleanse yourself mentally and spiritually after, providing happiness in a video or something to somebody?
A lot of it's just kind of self-care. I think, like, at the end of, my typical day, like, I'll wake up and I do like a certain routine to kind of get myself going. I light an incense so it smells good. Like, I'm a very sensory driven person, so I need to be listening to good music that brings me in a positive mood. I need to be smelling things that are nice. I'm typically wearing a black robe, which is really soft. So I've got like the touchy feelies. Like, that for me winds me into a good mood. And then I put on my face. Oftentimes I wear a wig. Like, I'm a completely different person when I'm
prime your environment.
Yeah, I prime my environment and my body, like myself, my mind, and then I kind of put on my character, my mask, if you will, my makeup, my wig, my outfit for the day. I perform, I make my content, whether it be, generalized stuff for just like TikTok or Instagram or something that's particular for an individual who wanted to buy it custom. And then once I'm done, I honestly do like the same exact thing to unwind. I take off the mask, I put on the comfy clothes, I light the incense again, I get into, just a comfortable position for me, and that's kind of my way of unwinding. Also, the way that my house is oriented, my studio and my house are separated. So I walk through these French doors into my studio, and I am the queen of avocados. I leave that studio, and I'm back to myself.
That is very important.
Yeah, like when I'm in that room, that's who I am, that's what I'm being, and then when I'm out of it, I'm myself.
It's different headspaces, and I think
that's
and the environment is very conducive of that as well.
Absolutely.
And as an entrepreneur, as your own boss, it's very hard to know, all right, when do I stop being the queen of avocado?
But that's the thing, though. That's the rub, is because even though when I'm not in the studio creating, I'm still on my phone talking. Because I mentioned earlier, 25% of my job is creating porn.
Right.
But then what is the other 75%? Well, 25% of it is like customer service. I'm constantly having conversations. I am maintaining hundreds of conversations at a time. I've got Instagram and everyone in my DMs there. I've got Snapchat, I've got about like 150 people on my premium Snapchat. So I've got all of them that might be responding to the story that I posted earlier. I've got Facebook, which is a mix of, I've got 2 Facebooks right now that I'm maintaining. So I've got one that's my more family-oriented, friend-oriented. Not much. Some of my family's on there, but I post whatever I want, anyways.
Okay, I got it now. Sorry. Okay. I was like, wait, you're doing content for a family? No. Hey, just the thing is like I'm genuinely very interested because, as I said, the stigma is sex worker, prostitute.
Yeah, no.
So
there are some.
So that's why I brought to the attention the whole negative connotation to doctor versus sex worker, and that's why I would again it's just from the outside looking in or trying to interpret in.
But it's a whole different perspective.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
and
why
it's insightful.
That's why I thought maybe specifying what it is or what you can expect from before clicking in might help or deviate the trolls.
Yeah.
You're bad, you're going to hell people.
Yeah, and I honestly, every single day, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get a message from someone saying, do you do meets? Do you do meetups?
Oh, I was gonna say, what do you mean? Do you do meat?
Make a video of me just slapping some steak.
Going
Yeah,
back
you
to
like
our
that?
group chat.
Yo, our group chat was kind of epic this morning.
That was hilarious. Pete goes, he like said
Pete,
something
we
about
love you,
power.
Pete.
Yeah, love you, Pete. But he goes like power kink, and I was like, what does that mean, buddy? What are we trying to say here? And so I just
wonder if he
made.
meant just like being a dom, just like a power.
Yeah, he did mention a dominatrix,
position.
and
So
he was like, "What?"
in essence, I was very confused. So I hit him with the "What does that mean, Kobe Bryant?" line.
So why is it skipping out? First of all,
What's
the audio, you can't hear it skipping.
Oh, you know what? It might be your headphone wire, but I hear everything good. You hear everything
Yeah,
good?
it's alright,
it
never
might
mind.
be the
Sorry.
headphone wire. I said ire, whatever.
It's all the same thing.
Anyways.
Yeah, words.
They're hard.
They're so
But
hard.
yeah,
English.
it was interesting to see Pete's perspective as well on it. But yeah, man, it's just a very interesting industry that I felt and still feel that needs attention, and
Absolutely.
not the attention from a biased perspective. It needs the attention from an unbiased, looking to understand perspective. You know, just because culturally or religiously or whatever the case might be, you feel like there's something negative associated to this. Everything that you might perceive as negative has a positive to it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it might be my perspective, but I think that people intrinsically are good, and then nurture makes them, in my perspective, maybe do something that's not too good in my perspective. But in their perspective, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
It's just interesting to think that people's perspective on sex is like a negative. Like, you wouldn't be here if it weren't for sex. Like, we are all here because of sex.
Yes.
Like, we would
Yes,
not
yes, yes.
have been here if sex wasn't a thing, and if your parents and their parents and the parents before them, like, we wouldn't even exist
But
if
you
it
know what
wasn't.
it
Like,
is?
so why is it so negative?
You know what it is as well?
Beautiful thing.
And I know that we had a generational kind of conversation on our last interview, but I definitely think that it has to do a lot with our generation.
Absolutely.
What do I mean by that? The generations before, and this is just human nature. It is just human nature. Humans, and there's multiple experiments of this that I'm about to say, but humans are very prone to obedience. Very, very, very prone to obedience. There's this one experiment, I don't remember the exact name, where everybody was tricked in the room saying that the guy in the other room is going to be, his memory is going to be at test. And for every time that he fails to, restate something, he gets shocked.
Yep.
And it wasn't real. And these guys know that they're giving them, semi-lethal doses of electricity, and they're still doing it because of our innate want to be obedient. So I think that some of the whole, we shouldn't even talk about sex stems from that, and this generation, to circle it back, is the fuck that. There's so many different sides to this.
Yeah.
And you're only giving me 10% or 5% of this, or a perceived 5%. Now that I'm like digging, I understand that was 2.5%.
Yeah.
Or like, there's even the stereotype that like when you become a sex worker, you're gonna make millions of dollars. You're gonna make all this money, and it's like yes, sex sells, but I mean, you're really not.
People think it's easy.
Yeah, exactly. People think
and-
it's easy, and everything that you've
Absolutely.
told, it's like there's time that gets taken into this. There's projects, there's editing, you're basically explaining my finals right now. So, like it's just like it's interesting to see how all of this is so much bigger than just like you said, even baby sex workers who are between
Wait a second.
18 and 22, and
Okay.
I will get to that. So when COVID first hit, and then people were starting OnlyFans and everything, and of course a lot of 18-year-olds saw that this was starting to blow up, and maybe they didn't necessarily need it for the money, but they started making it trendy. Because everything's a trend, and they don't really know what they're doing going into this, and of course the sex worker community tries to support them, but there are still people who, again, have to put up with more, like who have had longer experiences in this industry, who have to put up with a lot more than just like, oh, I look like this now, like I can appear this certain way, or I make all this money, or like I made all this off of OnlyFans or whatever else, and it's like just not realistic. But it's like, why do you think our culture is, or my generation, why do you think we're trying to do that? Like, How does that make you guys look? How do you think that makes you feel?
Well, I think like in general, the newer generation is become obsessed with being famous and obsessed with getting attention and being known and having a name for themselves.
It's the most valuable currency.
It absolutely is.
That's
It
awesome.
absolutely is. And we're finding that, well, we're not finding, it's always been known that sex sells. So now they're finding that they can become famous and they can get the attention and the fame by selling sex.
How can we exploit this?
Exactly, but not recognizing the amount of time and effort that it takes to be a successful sex
Or
worker.
I've even seen a couple issues on TikTok that actually ended up in articles as well, where there's a couple like bigger creators that are pretty well known who are sex workers, and there's been cases of some of these users who are moms. And who are parents, single parents or whatever, but they also end up on the platform of what they present themselves as, behind that there's a lot more of a bigger issue, and then that looks bad when they get in trouble or whatever else for sex workers or moms in general, because then that stereotypes that, oh, you're a sex worker, you're a bad mom, or you're this or that, and it's like. Or even just recently, there was a 21-year-old girl who blew up on TikTok, and she had OnlyFans, and she was like one of the 5 of OnlyFans or whatever. But that's all she has. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's like all she's known for is this OnlyFans. But it's like, also this algorithm is targeting specific people.
I have a question for you both, obviously.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're both, because you're both women. And I wanted to ask you, what is your response, or how do you feel to the side that believes that sex work is demeaning to women?
I think it's, like my perspective, I kind of laugh at it, because I think to do sex work, you have to have ample amount of respect and confidence for yourself.
Absolutely.
to be able to become, to let your vulnerable side out publicly. You have to have respect. You have to have confidence in your.
You have to know your worth.
Absolutely,
you have to know your worth, and that's the thing about it that people forget. It's like a lot of times the stigma is that when women do this, or it's interesting because it's like they target the women specifically when they do this, and it's really upsetting because it's like there are men sex workers too.
Absolutely.
Why are they out of this conversation?
Because when men have a lot of sex, they're looked as cool people, but when women have a lot of sex,
and their ego goes to the roof. But when a woman does it, she's a whore.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, but
it's a double standard.
Absolutely.
You know what else I think might play a role in that? The fact that nowadays it may be very different because of the LGBT community and everything like that, and people understanding that there's many layers to sexuality. But one of the reasons why I think that is because I would think, at least, that the biggest consumer of male sex workers are females. I can maybe be wrong. And, maybe they're not too open or wearing that badge of honor that they consume those type of services.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So,
so some women aren't going to want to admit that they want to, pay for porn. Some guys don't want to do it either. Again, a lot of my work is confidential.
I asked this guy for a jar of spit. And,
yeah.
I don't think a girl's gonna be too,
but you never know. But there are some. There are definitely,
course.
if there's something out there, someone's interested in it.
You're right.
There might not be a lot of people, but there's definitely someone somewhere.
But you just gotta,
and
cater to that.
What's interesting too is I've heard some people like through social media. I've seen some comments come up about like when there was a whole charade with I think Pornhub where like the company itself got busted for something that was probably underage or something like that. And you mentioned that, and I think we should touch on that. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so Pornhub is probably the most known like a porn website, a host of porn videos. And I don't know if it was, I think it was maybe like last year. I mean, it's not their first lawsuit, don't get me wrong. Like Pornhub's been hit many times for whatever reasons. I'm not, I don't work at Pornhub, so I don't know.
They're always going to stay in business.
They probably will, but they were hit a little while back with, uploading. There were videos found to not be consensual, to be underage, this, that,
Really?
and this. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So they went from 11 million videos to like 2 to 3 million videos. In a span of a couple months. During those times, all of their monetized areas, like they have Pornhub and they have Model Hub. And Model Hub is the platform where verified users can sell their videos and add a monetary price to it versus Pornhub, which is typically free. So it's kind of like their website of being able to kind of collect money off of selling their videos rather than just views.
So
because free videos on Pornhub pays you per view. They pay you like, I think, I don't know what
it's like YouTube almost.
Yeah. You get,
it's
X
free to
amount of money
upload,
for all of the videos.
Free to upload, free
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
But then there's Snapchat Premium, Pornhub.
There's the section where you can put a price and you can only see it to buy it.
Gets completely promoted through Pornhub too, or any certain sites that are like that. They
but then again,
promote other
Snapchat,
things.
like premium Snapchat, is something that sex workers kind of created and found a way to use the platform to benefit them. But Snapchat still doesn't technically allow that kind of stuff. So
And it only
that's
lasts 60 seconds.
Yeah, my Snapchats have been deleted before. I've gone through many Snapchats. All of my public ones get deleted. My premium one's still holding strong, but my public ones have been deleted. My first one got deleted because you can link. When you post on your story, you can add a link, and I added my link to my OnlyFans, and it got deleted.
So in essence, the platforms that are not, welcoming this type of content posting, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the Facebooks, even the ones that have canceled your accounts multiple times, are those used as a marketing platform to, hey, come see this kind of thing?
Absolutely.
And it's still getting flagged.
Absolutely.
By doing that.
Yeah. I like to consider like my social media as kind of like my advertisements. I don't necessarily pay for an advertisement on Facebook. So like every 3 posts on Facebook when you scroll, I don't know if you know this, every 4th post is an ad. So you got your 3 posts maybe
sense.
from friends, and then the 4th one is an ad. And it's throughout every time you scroll. So I like to consider like my social media as an ad, and I try to post on all of my social media accounts multiple times a day because people are scrolling on their phones at different types of days.
Your shit comes up so much in my Facebook feed.
Good.
Like
my
it's
goal.
working. It's working.
My Facebook is all memes, though.
And
It's not necessarily my body.
So funny.
It's
There
just
is
great memes.
It was so funny. There was there was a meme that literally said
The alter ego.
Yes, it was literally a post. It was like, is it DTF, so down to fuck, or is it because I'm just in your feed because I'm scrolling through it all the time? And I was like, I swear it's because you're just in my feed.
Yeah.
I swear. It's just funny. Like,
there was a meme that was like, if you had to drink every time you saw me on your post,
I'd be
would you be
so
sober or
drunk.
drunk? And
Oh,
people are
so
like, I
drunk.
would be dead.
yeah.
I would be dead.
Well, that's amazing news. Right?
Well, absolutely,
For
yeah.
business,
But
yes.
this is the thing is
Because
that's
it's frequency.
that's just my personal Facebook though. Like that, my personal Facebook has been running since I started it in 2008. And when I was married and I was still doing this job, no one on my Facebook knew that I was doing sex work. That was still my personal platform. That was my still like my my last little chunk of innocence was on my little Facebook. And then when I got divorced, that was all fucking out the window because I didn't have any of my ex-husband's family on my platform anymore. They were very, very conservative about that type of stuff. So when I got divorced, I let it go. And I said, screw it, I'm done hiding. I am Desiree, but I am also the queen of avocados. And I kind of meshed my Facebook.
You made some guacamole.
Hell yeah, I
There
did,
you
because
go.
you know how many...
Look at you. You're
How
getting
many
there.
high school bullies are my customers now? A lot.
Let's flex this real quick. Go ahead, tell them some stories. Let's tell them this story, please, Desiree.
Some of my ex-boyfriends are my biggest customers.
Damn.
That is the biggest flex.
That is.
Say that, please.
Thank you.
Say that. I'm
Thank
getting
you,
some of
guys.
that now too. Like now that I'm starting to get a little bit more just pulling these services and even having like this podcast or being a writer and doing everything I wanted to do, it's like people are starting to come around now and they're like, wait, you're kind of cute. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you didn't say that when
I didn't peak in high school. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry that didn't happen. Like my genetics got messed up. I get it. I'm sorry.
It's
like
college. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, but it's a great feeling to be able to reach this level of confidence, of self worth. You know what I mean? It's a great feeling to take that power back.
Yeah, and that's again where I love the attention. It fuels me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very much.
I think that's so smart on your part with the psychology of it all. It's like she's using this attention. She's using the people pleaser part of her, which people pleasing is also a trauma response in certain ways, or even like it's just a part of you. It's
a very short term reward system.
Exactly, and it's like
it's like a reward.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting how we're also programmed that way because, like you talked about obedience, so you have a system of reward. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting to me that she was using all of these things. She was like, okay, well, I just started pushing people this way and that way from one platform to the next. And she's using all of these tactics and skills that a lot of people go to school for and they wouldn't even think, oh, that's how you do that, but they're not always able to execute it. Yeah. It's like you have to be a certain type of
You know what it is? It's a
chase, you know?
A lot of people get caught up in I'm going to be a good student but not a good applier.
Yeah, it's like, why would you want to learn all this stuff and not apply it?
You're a great test taker, dude.
Woo! Oh, gosh, I sucked at SATs, don't even.
I never even took the SATs.
I took those like 4 times, but it's okay.
Never even took them.
We got through college. It's okay. No, but I think to tap into that story of some of your high school people being some of your best customers now. I think that's huge.
It's definitely very flattering, for sure. It's like a pat on the back, just be like, yeah.
But I guarantee you that the biggest pat on your back is not seeing them being one of your consumers. Obviously, it helps. It's lucrative. But the biggest pat on your back, as a result of all this, is not giving a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to not give a fuck. And it's so hard because my community, I'm very close-knit with a lot of individuals in my community because I keep on saying it, a lot of the job of being a sex worker, or at least, an OnlyFans model or whatever, is you need to learn how to market yourself. You have to promote yourself. No one's going to know that you are a business if you don't market yourself. So a lot of it is networking with other models because in order to gain a following, you have no one's going to just look for you. You have to advertise for yourself. So a lot of the time that I'm spending on like Instagram or Twitter, I'm networking with other models and we're sharing each other's work on our profiles to kind of promote them.
That's important.
It absolutely is. It's paramount to have a community that stands by you and will help promote the work that you put out. But the rub of that is that you become friends with a lot of different types of people, and you have to be aware of the triggers and the sensitivity of other models, because my experience is I'm doing this because I want to, I like it, I'm a sexual person, I enjoy this. But there are some people out there that are doing it because they need the money. And maybe they're, completely lesbian and penises freak them out. And some of my group chats will get a dick pic and we'll send it to each other and fucking roast the guy. Like, it happens. And some group chats, they send a dick pic and people become extremely sensitive about it. And like, I don't want to see this. Don't send this unsolicited porn to me. And we become very sensitive. So it's like you have to be careful with what you do, what you say around who.
And I thought it was really funny on her part. So going back to her Facebook memes, they're amazing.
Thank you.
They're amazing.
You can follow
her. Yes, and her best flex on that was she was mentioning how she gets all these unsolicited dick pics and whatever else, and she was like, okay, well, in return, if you want to do that, I'm going to send you a picture of a strap-on that I have, and it's going to be bigger than you. So you want to do that? Then here you go.
They send me a pic, and I send them mine, and like, mine's bigger.
That's a flex. But going back to what you were saying in terms of networking, I feel like a lot of people, entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are in the creative industry in general, any type of business that it is that you're doing, people undervalue networking sideways.
Yeah.
They only try to network if it creates a sort of gain for them. like a virtual gain. Like I'm talking to somebody that has either more a bigger platform or something like that, but they undervalue the sideways networking. A lot of times when we're in the creative industry, a lot of times when we're in a business, we try to think we're recreating the wheel.
Mm-hmm. No,
Don't recreate the wheel.
And Des was even saying, she mentioned to me before.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that are repeated or have been done before, and it's really hard to make yourself unique in a way too that continuously make you go with the wheel, because I mean that wheel's been going for so long. I mean, what do you got to do to stay on it?
Yeah, it's I think a lot of it is just your interpretation of something. And when you say that, like the first thing that comes to my mind is the first thing that comes to my mind is cosplaying, and the way that people try to gatekeep cosplaying when you have like successful cosplayers that have everything like perfect. And someone is trying to cosplay that same look and, maybe made some of the things at home and maybe it isn't the same. And trolls will negatively comment on...
They'll say, this is the broke man's...
Yeah, like, this person did it better. Like, how dare you do this? Like, they're the true cosplayer, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I do a lot of Daphne Blake cosplay from Scooby-Doo. And there's a lot of people that do Velma cosplay from Scooby-Doo.
There's actually
Daphne's the ginger.
And there is.
I'm all like, is that the one that wears my glasses? Or
yeah,
that's
Velma. That's Velma. But it's interesting because she even just recently collaborated with someone who goes by Tattooed Velma, and they got together. She flew out to Boston to meet up with her in Maine in their studio and work together, and that's what she goes by. That's her thing, and that's how she's known. And it's very interesting to see, the tactics and the skill set it takes to even work in collaborations. Like even in music, it's hard to collaborate with other creators because some people have the ego of I am the best of the best, and no one can work with me. No one can do this, that, or the other, or it's not going to work, or you know what I mean. It's basic, just like teamwork.
But then when you think about like those type of collaborations, you also have to consider the type of work that they're doing, because like when you collaborate with a musician or something, you both are into music, you guys make music, and it's probably pretty easy for you guys to just like maybe write a song. But like we're making porn, we're having sex, we're getting very vulnerable, we're getting naked, and we're gonna try to make each other come. Like when you have 3 days to do that with a person you've never met before, it's so hard to break the ice and kind of get into a comfortable spot where you can be vulnerable and create that. Yep. So Tattooed Velma was here for 6 days, and we didn't make porn until the day before she left. Because it takes time.
It's important because it's not one of those lights, camera, action kind of things.
No,
and that's what people
for some
think.
people it is. For the big stars that have market managers, or the ones that are saying like, yeah, I've got a gig. You're going to be screwing so and so, and you're going to be doing this kind of scene, and they can be like, yep, I'm going to do it, or like, nope, I'm not going to do it. But for us, we're kind of doing the work for ourselves. So we kind of have to handpick the people that we're going to work with, and hope that over virtual communication that you're going to have some sort of vibe that you're going to share and be able to successfully do, to make porn. And like some collaborations don't work out. Sometimes you meet the person and the vibe just isn't there, and you hang out and you maybe make a friend, but not necessarily a sexual partner, and then that does happen too.
Has that ever happened where the other person is offended? Because you're like, I really like you as a friend, but it's just like I can't create with you because I'm just not there.
Personally, I have not had that happen yet. I've luckily only worked with people that I have vibed with, but that also might come down to me because I'm very much a pansexual.
Your energy is amazing.
Everyone. I love people. I don't care what your genitals are. I don't care what your background is. Like, I love people. Genitals just tell me how to make you come.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's kind of easy.
That was fire. That was a dope ass perspective, though.
Yeah, she is schooling him right now.
Yeah, I love people, so it's very easy for me to just kind of make a connection. But some people, I have met a lot of workers that are very like demisexual, and like they cannot.
What does that mean?
So demisexual is someone who cannot be sexually aroused unless they are like emotionally attached, like or connected to this person. They can't just like have sex
unless they love
like a one night, not necessarily love, but just like they have to have
an emotional,
they have to
like,
be in the same
interaction,
right?
Yeah.
Right. For me, I can have sex with people I hate too. Like, I might paper bag them, but I'll have sex with them. Like, it's very easy for me, but some people, like, they will, like physically cannot get aroused.
Right.
If
And
they
they're not
don't
turned
have
on
a
in
connection
any
with
way.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, you can't make porn if you're not turned on, you know? Like, not good porn.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing about it too. It's like you're also doing these collaborations in hopes that you come out with a good quality video or good quality content. Which is and like you said, you have 6 days. She flew out, and it's like you have this span of time. It's literally like any deadline that you would have. You're like, okay, I got this, and this to do, and I got this time to do it, but I got to have the quality. I got to have, like when I was doing the interview and putting all of your stuff together, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to drive to Maine. I need to put all these pictures together, and I need to tell her which ones I want. But like, there's all this. How much content have you made in the last 4 years? Go ahead.
So, well, on my OnlyFans, just my OnlyFans itself, which is like maybe 75% of my work. I've got over 10,000 photos. I've got over 400 videos. At least 300 of those are like full length, either 5 to 40 minute videos. Like 100 of them might be like teaser, like 1 minute clips or whatever. And that's all. Mostly in the past 2 years, really. I have a lot of content with like my ex-husband or you know hookups and stuff like that, but I don't post or sell that content because I'm not with that individual anymore, and I don't have their written and physical consent to do that. So I would never sell that. So the stuff that I do sell is recent stuff of my partner is the one that I film with. He's my star cock, if you will.
Yeah. And how many photos do you have up to this point?
Yeah, I've got about 10,000. I've got over 10,000.
And that
10,000
takes so
just
much time
on my OnlyFans. Like that doesn't count like the bloopers, the
or
funny
the folders.
selfies. Yeah,
Of course.
there's so many.
So you spoke about not being able to post certain contents because you don't have a disclosure from said person.
Yeah.
How have you found it to be hard to find love or somebody that's acceptant of your profession?
So the thing is I started it when I was married, and then I got divorced. So then I was doing the business and dating at the same time.
So with your profession and stuff that you've been doing for the last couple of years, you did mention that some of the content you can't put out because you don't have permission of said person, which you was in a relationship in the past.
Right.
Talk about your love life with this profession. Has it been difficult to hold on to one?
Yeah, so, well, again, I started the business with my husband, my ex-husband, and, we were doing this together until we got divorced. So when I met my current partner, it was just off Tinder. I was on dating websites.
So it works.
I met my ex-husband on Tinder, too.
Damn.
Now I'm banned from Tinder, so I can't even use it anymore.
I think you're just a virtual type.
It'd be that way sometimes.
Act like I'm about to walk.
I told you to be good during this interview.
But it's interesting because
perspective.
Yeah, right? Before I met my current partner, a lot of the people were like, oh, like, let's get together and, like, let's make a video together, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Again, I mentioned I'm pansexual. I date a lot of men, it seems to be. I don't know why. I don't understand why. But I do. But I don't like...
You're not specific.
I'm much more
fluid.
I'm fluid, but I'm more comfortable behind the camera with women. Especially women who do the job with me and are in the same business because we have the same goal. We have the same understanding of what we're doing.
And that's why you were my favorite memory when I was 19.
Thank you. What was the line? I'm not going to fuck you over. I'm just going to fuck you.
Yep. And that's why I remembered her, because who else is going to say that to me? When in my lifetime am I going to hear that? I was like, wow, I really hope someone can tell me that straight up from the jump next time I try dating another individual. Oh my. Like, I will marry you.
I'm
like,
straightforward.
Yes, and I loved it. I loved it. And I was like, but I was still scared. I was 19. I was like, oh my God, I'm in this big ass world by myself and I just met a porn star. What the fuck?
So mind you.
You haven't trademarked that, have you?
Uh-huh.
You haven't trademarked that, have you?
Sure, yeah, I have.
Oh, okay. I'll come up with my own.
I'm going to use that.
I'll say it in Spanish. It sometimes works.
No, let's hear it in Spanish. I won't fuck you. I'll just fuck you over.
I'm not going to fuck you over.
So this is the thing, right? Fuck, it can be said in many ways. So let's see. In Dominican Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't translate perfectly. No. It won't work. It won't work.
I tried texting my best friend in Spanish once, and she was like, Maggie, that's not what that is. And I was like, and she was like, no, wrong Spanish. Just no. And I was like, got it.
My
bad. It's my bad, delete it. But anyways, yeah, no, like, no one else is going to say that to me. So I was like, but at least I remembered her. Like, that's great that she's able to make this impact on people, first of all. But that's also what draws, I think, a lot of her clientele to her, you know.
I'm a very personable person. One of the my favorite things to say.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, right. No, honestly, it's funny. I am, but I'm not. I think it's like the Gemini in me. Like, part of me is like really social, and part of me is like,
what the fuck it is with this show and Geminis? It's Libra dominated.
What is it? It's Libra. No.
No, I'm saying the show is.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, because
the
him and I are
and then
October babies.
Alex
Got
as
you.
well. Alex, which is another co-host. Pete's the only Scorpion in the squad.
My partner's a Scorpio.
Oh.
Everyone in my life is a Scorpio. It's so interesting. I have so many Scorpios in my life. Kayla is a Scorpio too. Yeah, I've got a couple others. It's interesting.
Yeah. But I think it's very great to hear to have these kinds of podcasts and conversations. Are you familiar with the fact that this is something that's not talked about enough? Like, do you think this can be talked about even more?
I hope so. I want
where
it
do you
to.
see
I
the
almost
faults?
need it to.
Where do you see the faults in the lack of promotion and conversation and stigma around it?
Well, I think it's just a lot of people don't understand it and are still just like stuck in their old ways of like sex is, to be shared with your, marriage partner and only your marriage partner, and that's it. And as we kind of come with new generations, we're kind of realizing that love is not so linear. We're accepting polyamorous relationships a lot more. We're, the LGBT plus community is growing. So we're kind of recognizing that sex is a part of our lives. Mm-hmm. And I think that more people need to recognize that and let go of the closeted stigma that, again, like, it's only supposed to be shared with, one person, the one person that you're supposed to be with for your rest of your life. Like,
it's
mental.
Human bullshit.
It's
absolutely
human condition.
is.
It's like human condition.
It's the bullshit of human nature. They want us to believe that in the animal kingdom, we're just so high and mighty that we're the only species that's monogamous.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah. Monogamy disgusts me. I don't like it. But it's also not for me because love isn't linear. We can love more than one person.
The only thing linear, I think, in life is time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing too about monogamy is not even just in this industry, but women in general, especially on social media. There's a lot of jealousy, insecurity, and that stuff
between content creators,
or content creators, or just like even your friends or a friend group, right? It's like you have certain women or like. Personally, from experience, I've been friends with girls, which is really hard to do, and I've been friends with girls, and I told them maybe my freshman year of college is a good example. So I was like, hey, like I'm a roommate, like I'm gay, and I hope that's like not gonna be an issue. Like I wouldn't, if you have an issue, let me know now so I can do something about it, right? And they're like, no, whatever. And then like later on, like a few months in, whatever, she ends up liking this guy or whatever, and I was like, all right, I'm not into him, but I mean, I've hung out with him, and she was like away, and then accused me of sleeping with the dude, and I'm like, the more you're accusing me of sleeping with the dude, the more I want to do it. You know what I mean? It's like I know I can do this because I can, but at the same time, it's like, does it get through your head that it's amazing it's really unfortunate to me that this is something that women have to encounter and deal with, and even men too. It's like the possessiveness, especially with men, or the controlling factor. That's even scarier for women. That's more intimidating, but that doesn't mean that women don't have it. It's very much there.
It's definitely
but it's like that's why it takes like a lot of confidence in her industry, in the sex industry, as like in general, and a lot of people look down on that, and they don't like it. They don't like confidence. They don't like that they can.
It's not that they don't like it; they're intimidated by it.
Exactly, but that's still they don't like it. They don't like intimidation.
It turns to envy, which turns to resentment.
It's so gross.
And, they're jealous of it. They envy us, and then they resent you because they can't do it.
Yeah, and then they're not.
There's
supportive.
a bucket right there.
And it was was interesting. There was a specific person I had, like, even just when I interviewed her, that was in my circle, that was envious. And then once I talked to her, and she was so supportive of everything, and she had great energy, and I really fed off of it, and I was like, whoa. Like, there was a difference. There's a huge, massive difference in that feeling. You know what I mean? When you know you're around people who are supporting you, and that goes with any business or anything else. And it's like the lack of envy and jealousy, the more that's like put to the side. It's like, I feel like people have a hard time looking inward. And with this, you have to be very self-aware. You have to be very well aware of your worth. And obviously that goes for men too. But it's just like the
I feel like it's just a very cultural thing with men too. It's just like it's very impractical to think that you have to be the provider of everything, like in the emotional and physical world, to this woman so that she can't be attracted to somebody else. It's just not a sustainable or healthy train of thought or idea.
Not.
It's just like, at the same time, you're going to do all this for another human, knowing damn well that you're still attracted and interested in other humans. So it's impossible.
And with social media too nowadays, it's like women are like, oh, you like that post? And it's like all downhill from there, and your relationship is over in a heartbeat. Like, it's
disrespect.
so.
That's why, like, sometimes, like, the whole conservative Latina thing is just like a. No disrespect. I love my Latinas, whatever.
I love them too. But
yeah, bro. Relax.
Yeah,
bro.
conservative anyone is just
Conservative everyone. You know what I mean? You know, we'll bleep out the conservative.
And of course, though, we need opposing sides. I mean, we do. We need opposing sides.
It's fun to be
wouldn't the world
challenged,
be so boring if you didn't have no opposition?
Absolutely.
true.
And it's
Everybody-
It's about how you handle that opposition. Though.
Everybody's
It's okay to
so
have
young.
a respectful
conversation.
Yeah, but
And seeing both sides and then coming to a conclusion, if you're able, or letting someone decide for themselves. I think that's the biggest part that people try to take away, is like, I'm going to decide for you because everything I say is right and my way is the only way.
I
That's
think
like
that seeking to be right is the first problem.
issue.
yeah.
You're not
Yes.
seeking to be. If you and me are disagreeing on something and you're seeking to be right, you lost.
Yeah.
You're supposed to try to understand, and then if after you understand I'm wrong, help me understand why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But telling somebody you're wrong, you're attacking
Or
them.
just asking them, like, what did you learn? You were wrong? Okay, did you learn something? And just, like, you know, not repeat that lesson of what was wrong or what went wrong or what made it wrong. And, like you said, trying to find understanding underneath it.
Yeah.
You know?
And luckily, like with my relationship, we don't have to necessarily worry too much about that, like jealousy aspect, because like he came into the relationship knowing what I did. So he understood that when I was on my phone a lot talking to these strangers, it's not because I'm into them. It's not because,
job.
you know,
It's your job.
I'm not getting anything sexually out of this. This is my job, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is how I make the money. Conversating with people, creating that relationship and that bond is how I get
And
return
that's-
customers,
right.
which is
Yes.
what pays the bills.
Yes.
Right.
So it's
And it's good that
important
you
that I
understand that.
it's
And-
important that I maintain those relationships, and it's any business relationship like that. You've got to
Yeah,
maintain in
absolutely.
a positive manner.
And that's
course.
what makes your personal relationship a partnership.
Absolutely,
And not a codependent mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're doing your thing, he supports that. He's doing his thing, you support that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a good example to really see by. And it's like, and I think it really helps to stigmatize, like, oh, you can't have a relationship if you're a sex worker.
Yeah.
And like that's something that comes up too. And it's
It's
like
crazy because a lot of the sex workers that I know are like married. They're happily married. You know, some of them are swingers, some of them aren't. Some of them just, you know, do this, you know, on the off chance. It all depends, and every story is different. But like,
100%.
not
Absolutely.
But
they all
and
count.
that's the beauty of it, though. Like, it's beautiful that it's different, because if it were all the same,
it
it
all
would
counts.
be boring and it'd be gross. Absolutely,
Yes.
it's all valid. Everyone's relationship is valid as long as it's consenting and respectful for the two or however many people are within that dynamic.
Absolutely.
Listen, people can live as they please, and it makes them happy as
Absolutely.
long as they're not harming somebody else.
Yeah, respect each other, communicate. You know, that's
Are
all
you
that
gonna
matters.
harm people's feelings? Absolutely.
Only if they ask me to.
she has a point.
Tailor-made. Tailor-made.
point.
But,
Say that.
but sometimes too, if I say something or if I did something and you feel bad about that, I strongly believe you chose to do that. You chose to feel bad. Because you can feel...
You gotta own your emotions.
You
Yeah.
have to own it, yeah.
You chose to feel bad, bro. I'm sorry.
You gotta own your emotions.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important for people to remember that emotions, especially the negative ones like jealousy and stuff, can be deconstructed as long as you, like you said, look inward. If you look inward and can, you know...
And you take accountability. That's, I think that going back to like that, I think that is the core thing that you need to be able to make that step, and a lot of people have a hard time with that.
And a lot of times, these negative emotions, if you look inward, if you try to deconstruct them,
You see stuff you don't want to see.
and not only
Or admit to.
You
Hurts.
see things that
Yeah.
that you don't want to see. That could be a perspective, but the other perspective is you see a lot of good in it. For example, if you're jealous of somebody, you can deconstruct it back to admiration. Why does it hurt your pride that you admire this person or what they got going on for them?
Yeah, I know.
What does that say about your nature?
Right.
So it can be a positive thing as
It
well.
could be. I think it can be a positive learning experience in a way of a person kind of overcoming those insecurities, because a lot of jealousy is rooted in insecurity about themselves.
Absolutely.
Because I can't provide that, I can't do that, so I'm jealous because they're doing it that I cannot. But it's like you've got. It's important to recognize that you are still a person and you can give what you can give, but you can't give everything. You won't ever be able to give someone every
aspect of you.
Everything.
You can't even give yourself everything.
I can't. I have a hard enough time, taking care of myself.
Gas is expensive. Yes, say that. Gas is expensive. So.
Yeah, and I pay premium, man. That mini takes premium. $3.80 a gallon. It hurts me.
Wow.
I walk.
Yeah, I can't walk to Boston.
Boston kid?
Can't walk here.
I wish Pete was here. His Boston accent. On point.
I know it really is though. It's thick.
Yeah.
It's a thick accent.
So, again, I am just honored to be, enlightened and in this part of
thank
this.
you.
Like, seriously, and one of the things that we like to do here and say that is just, open the mics for a token of gratitude is our way of giving back. So I'd love for you, to just take this moment to tell people where they can find you, or just a couple shout outs of, creators or anybody that you want to give thanks to.
Thank you. I guess my website is www.queenofavocados.com. I hope that everyone, after listening to this, whenever you see an avocado, you think of me. Because
that's exactly what happened to me, and I found her, and I was like, hey, avocado.
Even on the document, the first thing was an avocado.
Yeah, it's the brand. That's just who I've been, and I'm very grateful to have this experience, and I'm really grateful to think that something that I started just for fun is now my full-time job. I mean, mind you, I did not become a full-time sex worker until the end of September 2020. So I had a career. I was managing the electrical department in a warehouse that manufactured vertical storage units. So
what the fuck does that even mean?
So here we go again. Here we go. So we continue 3 hours later. I told you this didn't deserve to stay in my phone. You're human. That's the important thing to recognize.
Yeah, I was a boss. I
Later.
had a team of 8 men that came and answered to me. They responded to me. They looked up to me as their leader, and it was a great.
And in essence, you still got that going on.
Yeah, I still do.
It's crazy. She told me she looked up to me recently, and I was like, why? That's scary. And so I've also, thankfully, I've been able to have her come out and do this and really help me bring my vision to life. She supported me in what I wanted to do. That's why I'm happy to even have Mike to really push this vision and talk to really amazing people and really creative, talented, smart, hardworking individuals that are, just looking to inspire other people in the game.
Yeah, it's when I went full time, the amount of people that defriended me is incredible, and people that have been in my life since childhood would not even look at me the same. I recently went to a couple concerts and saw some childhood friends there. There were just rows of people ahead of me. They saw me and looked away as fast as they could, did not even acknowledge that I was there, because they just I don't know. I don't know why. But, like, it's so...
They unsure about themselves.
Yeah, but being here now, thinking, like, I came here to talk about what I do because you guys are interested in it and you want to know more. Like, it's a very beautiful feeling to know that people are actually, like, asking and interested in what I do now rather than... just like repress me and put me away as if I never existed. You know, it's a very flattering feeling. So thank you.
I'm personally honored to be part of the conversation, just because, as I said, there was a lot of curiosities on my end.
Yeah.
And I'm just very happy, and my perspective has changed a lot on it. And I feel like when you're able to do that, the mission is accomplished. You know, so I'm very excited to see the continued growth. Continue to hear about the continued growth. And I think that this conversation is something that, you know, should be pushed forward.
Absolutely.
And not only this conversation, specifically this being one shit, if this is the one that's being pushed forward, goddamn, thank you. Exactly.
Yeah,
but, you know, I'm saying this needs to happen more often.
Absolutely.
The stigma needs to end, and I'm just happy that, you know, I was able to be a part of it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So next week, I'm actually starting a new endeavor. Like, as we said, you know, sex work is kind of like a blanket term for what you do. Like, I'm a content creator and I always have been, but next week I'm going to begin live camming. So I'm going to be doing live cam shows on a routine scheduled basis. Where people can, you know, request to see me in real time, have private shows with me real time. So that will be interesting to do.
We love to see it.
So.
We love to see it. Progress.
Yes, exactly.
You went from Tumblr to being able to do live shows.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I really look forward to it, and I really hope that, you know, it's a good way of just, you know, spreading the word, getting that name out there.
Yeah.
I want more people to just respect avocados.
It will be.
Absolutely, yes.
Whether you eat them or not.
Just mash it and make it guacamole.
There you go, and that's what we're doing here today.
Yo, pay that extra for the guac, you know.
Yes. Even if it's just $3, do it. Go for it.
Facts.
Yeah,
the avocado tax.
Actually,
yeah, my OnlyFans is only $3. Like, my cheap one.
That and my coworkers.
We got options.
Come on.
My coworkers looked her up the other day because they all know I'm doing this podcast stuff. So, and I was like, yeah, you can look her up. Just Google Queen of Avocados, and they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, really, go for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I was like, then yeah, it was like super funny. So I was like, well, you know, I mean, yeah, she does this. This is her work. This is what she does. So
yeah.
But definitely thank you so much for coming out. Thank you. And thank you for telling me the statement I will never forget. And it's gotten us this far. And it was just, I mean, I was 19, you know, like out here in the world by myself, meeting interesting people. And I'm just glad I've been able to throw the rope back and kind of bring them up and really, share their journey and share what they do. I think it's very important to have these conversations, especially controversial ones. I've personally always been the type 100%. To talk about the stuff that nobody wants to. And now I think, and now that I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I can really do that and make it happen and be thorough about it. So I'm shout out to my family who's been supportive and who knows I'm doing this like as honestly and as authentically as possible. And shout out to going to school and my mentors and things like that who've really pushed me as well to allow you to, who really also even brought down like my biases and stuff, to have these conversations respectfully and openly and non-judgmental. So, it's been great talking with you, Des, and I hope we all learn a lot. And
I did, man. I mean, for me, you know.
And Mike is gonna go home and like be mind blown. He's completely.
I already am.
Yeah.
I doubt something else is gonna top today. This conversation today, but for me, man, I just gotta shout out the team.
Yeah, shout out to the team, and thank you guys for allowing us women especially to even talk and speak our minds and say what we got to say, because we're shut down a lot. And so thanks to the team.
It'll be a disservice to not do so.
Absolutely.
But seriously, it's just an honor to work with the team. It's a pleasure, and I look forward to the continued growth of the team. And my God, I meant everything I said about, you know, the continued growth of your company. And I hope that, you know, this new webcam endeavor.
Yeah, I hope it's
becomes a very lucrative
something
one.
new.
You know?
Yeah. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for my partner who not only respects and supports my business, but is also my co-star and helps me, you know, he helps me film, whether it's with him and I or me fucking another girl. Like, he's there filming, you know, he's got the camera right up to our coochies.
And he's very good with taking pictures.
Brilliant. He's fantastic. So I'm grateful for that.
Ride or die.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's the best.
Absolutely. So
but y'all know what y'all can find us. say_that_pod on Instagram. Like, share, follow,
Listen.
Yo, listen, if you don't want to do all 3 or all 4, just
do one.
We'll be happy.
Yeah.
You know, say that.
A little goes a long way.
Say that exclamation podcast on YouTube. Go subscribe. If you don't like us, you don't like your mom.
Bing bong.
You already know. Don't say this.
Say that.
Hey, we out of here. Thank you.
Awesome.
That was fire.